Shana Tova. Thank you, Jay. Shana Tova. It's 5,783, and I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking it too. I finally got used to writing 5,782 on everything. A few weeks ago, we saw the end of an era with the passing of Queen Elizabeth. Most of us, except perhaps die-hard fans of the Crown, don't really think much about British royalty on a day-to-day basis. Yet, the thought occurred to me was how full her life was, and in a way, how much just happened during her reign. She was 13 years old at the start of World War II. Yet she's known for serving in the British Army as a mechanic, an ambulance driver, and speaking words of encouragement and comfort to the British people over the radio. Her time on the throne included every major event since that time. In addition to the shared public experiences, she had a private life too. She was a mother, a grandmother, had a whole slew of dogs. Slew of dogs. Doesn't sound right. What's the term for a lot of dogs? A pack. I'll change that for next time. A pack, that sounds right. To all of you people, by the way, with a dog in your family, I would love to join your ranks, maybe someday. All you have to do is convince Jody, she's 4 rows back. Okay, back to the Queen. She died in her mid-90s. It's hard to say she had anything but a remarkably full life. And yet, would she have wanted more time? I have no idea if her passing was a welcome rest for her, if it was something that she was at peace with, or if, perhaps, she felt as though there were things that she still wanted to do. Another monarch from a different time, the wise King Solomon, said in his old age, "The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing." Even Moses, who made it to 120 years old, was not thrilled with the prospect of dying. He led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, through the wilderness for 40 years, and made it just to the border of the Promised Land, not allowed in. God told him he was to die, and that Joshua would be his successor. There's a midrash, an old rabbinic legend, that imagines Moses conversing with God towards the end of his life. Moses suggests that rather than die, he could simply retire, that he wouldn't interfere with Joshua's leadership one bit. Because it's Moses asking, God agrees. And he allows Moses to retire as Joshua takes over. Joshua begins taking up Moses' old duties, which includes conversing with God privately in the tent of meeting. After Joshua leaves the tent of meeting for the very first time after having taken over Moses' old job, Moses approaches him and asks Joshua, "What did God say to you?" To which Joshua replied, "You know, every time God spoke with you, I didn't ask what God said. You or God decided to share it or not. This, I cannot share." At hearing that, Moses had a change of heart. He was ready to die. Perhaps you'd feel differently. Lots of people look forward to and then enjoy retirement. Not Moses, though. For him, a life worth living meant living a life with purpose. and he couldn't find a purpose any longer. But Moses, as much as anyone, and the queen, as much as anyone, lived a full life. Yet even the fullest life may have things that we still wish to do, or perhaps regrets that we wish to right, that we need time to do. Moses wanted to live to continue being God's prophet. We are here today for Rosh Hashanah, the new year, and one of the images that we encounter is the book of life. Will we be inscribed for a good year ahead? That image, the book of life, is a reminder that some things, particularly our mortality, are out of our control. As Solomon said, our eye may never have enough of seeing, but is there something particularly important that we want to make sure gets done? Something important that we want to make sure we do? Have we made sure that the people we love know that we love them, both through our words and through our deeds? Have we shown our commitments to causes that we care about, both through our words and through our deeds? Have we done something that can contribute to the legacy we wish to leave behind, both through our words and through our deeds? The philosopher Thomas Nagel once wrote that it was absolutely ridiculous to live every day as though it's your last, because nobody would show up to work. Perhaps a better way of saying it, though, is that time is a treasure, and we all have a mysterious, finite amount of it. And because of that, time is perhaps the most precious thing that we have. Jody told me about an activity that was done at a Jewish summer camp in Indiana many years ago. It was called the Game of Life. Yeah, I know the title wasn't super original. Anyways, the campers were told that they were going to play the game of life, and the goal was to, quote, win. No clues were given as to how to win, only how to play. The counselors set up 4 stations the kids could choose to go to. They had 1 hour, and every 15 minutes they could choose which station to go to. It's fine to repeat. You can go to the same station more than once. One station was a bank. If the campers went there and sat quietly for 15 minutes, they were given a pile of pretend money. There was a corner where people could socialize. There was a place where they could go to write thank you notes to the kitchen and custodial staff. And there was a place where they could go to read. Some kids, wanting to succeed at the game of life, went straight to the bank, stayed there for each quarter of an hour, and ended the game with the most money. I think that's how you win the board game, isn't it? Others, thinking, this is a Jewish camp and all about doing nice things, they spent the entire hour writing thank you notes. Some, eager to spend time with their friends socializing, did just that. You get the idea. At the end of the hour, the campers were asked, so who won? And different campers made the case that they won because they made the most money, or they did the most amount of nice things for other people. You get the idea. The counselors then said that perhaps to win meant going to a different station each quarter hour. That winning can't just mean making the most money, if that also means not spending time with friends and people they care about, or not spending any time doing something nice for another person. Likewise, even people who spend all their time doing for others, which is a wonderful thing, but if they had no time for themselves, perhaps at the end of their time, they would be impoverished and alone. I thought that camp activity sounded fantastic because it's such a Jewish way of looking at time. Back to King Solomon. Another wise thing he wrote was, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under the sun, a time for this and that, turn, turn, turn." Don't know if he said that last three words, turn, turn, turn. But it's in my head somehow. It might be in your head too. We need to make time for different things. A time for work and a time for learning. A time for eating. And in 10 days' time, a time for fasting. A time for family, a time for our kehillah, for our congregation, and so on and so on and so on. The Talmud, a great collection of rabbinic teachings, says that God too makes the same sort of divisions in time. Here's what it says. Quote, "During the first 3 hours of the day," pretend the day has 12 hours. During the first night has 12 hours, day has 12 hours, 24-hour days. They didn't have a watch. They didn't really know. Here's what it says. During the first 3 hours of the day, the Holy Blessed One sits and engages in the study of Torah. In the second 3 hours, God sits and judges the entire world. Of course, the world is guilty, so God then arises from the seat of judgment, moves to the seat of mercy, and pardons the world. The third quarter of the day, God sustains the entire world, feeding everything from the horns of wild oxen to the eggs of lice. At the final 3 hours of the day, God plays with the Leviathan. That's right, God has a pet whale. Legend has it that it's the same whale that swallowed Jonah. This story has God as a model, though. God makes time to learn new things, time to work, time to care for the world, and finally, time to play. On Rosh Hashanah, we mark the creation of the world. And in our Torah, when we read the story of creation, there's a special focus on time. On the third day, it says, God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate day from night. They shall serve as signs for the set times, the days and the years, and they shall serve as lights in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth." In other words, yes, the sun and moon and stars are wonderful for the light they give off. But the first reason given for them is so that we can mark time. Today is not just Rosh Hashanah, it's also Rosh Chodesh, a new month. And, in the old-fashioned sense of the term, a new moon. Also, in the creation story, we read about Shabbat. Shabbat, well, the week, the 7-day week, is different than any other measure of time in the Torah. A day is evening and morning. A month is the cycle of the moon. A year is a full cycle of the seasons. But a week? There's nothing in nature that creates a week. God created the week, or at least that's what the Torah says. And it's a second way of marking time, a way not based on nature, but based on human need. We need a weekend. We need time in our lives for different things. And one of those things is rest. The Ten Commandments gives 2 reasons for Shabbat. The first is because God creates the world in 6 days and rests on the 7th. But the second reason is because we were slaves in Egypt. If slavery is dehumanizing, turning human beings into nothing more than tools for productivity, then Shabbat is humanizing, recognizing that we are more than what we make, more than what we can do for somebody else. In fact, each of our holy days gives us the opportunity to make time for a variety of important, extraordinary even, things to do and think about. And the rest of the time, when it's not Shabbat or Rosh Hashanah or something like that, It's still time, precious, limited time. On any holy day, but particularly on Rosh Hashanah, we're called to think about time and what we do with ours. What have we done with our time last year? What do we pledge to try and do with our time in the year ahead? Have we spent enough time with the people that deserve our time, particularly people whom we love? Have we spent enough time contributing to the well-being of our community? Have we worked hard at our jobs? Have we taken time for ourselves? As we are here today to honor creation, let us also remember the creation of time, to honor it, to use it well. Shana Tova.